Okay, welcome to this section 10 A-level anthology analysis of Michael Wilcockson's Euthanasia text from his work on medical ethics for A-level students. Let's read it before we analyze it. The weak sanctity of life principle argues that where death is inevitable, the doctor is bound by compassion or love to treat the patient accordingly. This attitude is summarized by the much quoted phrase from Arthur Clarke's poem, "Thou shalt not kill, but needs not strive officiously to keep alive." Singer, in his Rethinking Life and Death, 1994, goes further. He says rigid adherence to the doctrine never to kill, which he calls vitalism, is an abrogation of the doctor's responsibility to his patient. The question is not so much between ordinary and extraordinary means, but whether, in some cases, direct termination of life is good medicine. So we talked about the weak sanctity of life principle before, which focuses on compassion for life and respect and dignity for the person. This might not mean trying to pursue any option for prolonging life. Some might go as far as saying prolonging life is against the doctor's responsibility as a professional. All of this is very murky language. The doctor is bound by compassion, is he? That's a really interesting view. What's your view? Well, the Church of England has this largely sort of weak sanctity of life view, if there is an official Church of England view. It's certainly a sort of double effect. But does nursing care only and withholding treatment really amount to passive euthanasia, as previous passages have said? What does this slippery language to treat the patient accordingly? The doctor, let's give it a new color. The doctor is bound by compassion to love and treat the patient accordingly. What does that mean? It's very open to the possibility of, well, anything really. And that's what happens with situation ethics influenced ethics. It's relative, it's subjective. You can, and it's well, we're going to get to the next argument. It creates a slippery slope to direct termination. So is Wilcockson here being irresponsible in his use of veiled and fuzzy language? What is a doctor bound by? In classical natural moral law, he's bound by the sanctity of life. In quality of life thinking, he's bound by the interests of the person. And that gets difficult very quickly. Should doctors do here in this text what is loving situation ethics, or what is right? Is this the same thing? Is it possible to do what's loving, but it's the wrong thing? Why in some cases? So let's ask this question. So we have this poem quoted here, and it's a good reference. He's right, because we hear this phrase a lot. You don't need to strive to keep alive. You hear that a lot. Is it relevant, and is it being misquoted? That's what's interesting. To say a little bit about this, Clarke lived in 1819 to 1891, wrote a short poem called "Say Not the Struggle Naught Availeth," a rousing call invoking military metaphors to keep up the good fight, which fight is unspecified, but it was written in the wake of the defeat of the Chartism in 1848. Other short poems he wrote included "Through the Glass Darkly," an exploration of Christian faith and doubt. And then this poem, the latest Decalogue, satirical. Now notice that, a satirical take on the Ten Commandments. The latest Decalogue's couplet on murder. And remember, it's a satirical take. "Thou shalt not kill, but needs not strive officiously to keep alive, is what is often quoted, but it's out of context. This is a satirical piece of writing in debates on medical ethics, in the sense that it's not right to struggle to keep terminally ill people alive, especially if they're suffering. That's not what the poem was saying. It's reading it out of context. Further, this couplet went on to influence lots of people who liked the idea of euthanasia. Famously, Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics, and the first law of or through inaction clause. It's just not an argument for voluntary euthanasia. It's actually an argument against, once you understand his Christian beliefs. So this was section 10.